Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? Welcome to this latest edition of ADology. Again, I am your host, Jeremy Eubank. Today, we are joined by Lance Cibik, who will be our guest speaker today. I had the privilege of hearing Lance speak to our admin retreat here in Prince Edward County Public Schools a couple weeks ago, and I will tell you, you are in for a treat today. He has an inspirational story. He has some things that I think really will connect with coaches, athletic administrators, as well as principals and or superintendents that watch this. I do want to give a shout out to those that have been following us on ADology. As a reminder, our podcast is really focusing on tips and tools, resources, things that can really help you with the day-to-day of being an athletic administrator. Again, today we are joined by Lance Cibik, who is an amazing motivational speaker, coach, and really top Amazon author, as we learned to learn in his guest speaking appearance at Prince Edward County Admin Retreat a few weeks ago. Lance, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeremy. Great to see you and meet you a couple of weeks ago. Spend time with you and staff, and look forward to being on the show today.
Awesome, and we are glad to have you. To give you a little bit of background, additionally, he does have a family, a wife, 2 kids, a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, both girls, correct?
That's right. Girl dad, outnumbered.
Of course. I am as well. My daughter is 7, so I fully understand that. So, Lance, give us a little bit of background before we jump into this.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having me. I won't go too far deep into the personal background, although I'll probably touch on it here in just a little bit. But as you said, I'm married. I've got 2 daughters. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I spent 22 years in corporate America, primarily in sales and leadership roles in banking, financial services, SunTrust Bank that became Truist Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. And I had a good run there, climbing the ladder from assistant vice president to senior vice president to divisional sales director. But it was about 18 months ago that I decided to leave that world, Jeremy, and start off at zero to launch my professional speaking business, my performance coaching business. And then I went on to become, as you said, a published author 3 months ago. And so that's where I stand today. I enjoy speaking to high schools, colleges, and corporations.
Amazing. And I will tell you, your book, which I've started to read about a week ago, is insightful. It gives me more energy every day in just what our purpose is as educators. And it is called Adversity Fuels Purpose. You know, this first thing that we'll jump into as well in regards to your book, you told us about a little bit about corporate America and what you were looking at that. Give us a little bit about your story and why you think it connects so well with so many people on so many different levels. Like you said, you're a life coach. You do things with education. You also do things with business with people that you work with. You know, I will personally say from my perspective and what really connected is some of the trial and tribulations that I went through as a person, same thing as you. So if you could kind of explain a little bit of that and what really connects on so many different levels for you.
Yeah, thanks for making mention of the book, Adversity Fuels Purpose. And when you think about adversity, we all have it. Some of us have adversity in our past. Some of us have adversity right now on this very call, this very show in our present. And some of us have adversity right around the corner and we just can't see it coming yet. So the question always becomes, are we going to allow adversity to keep us stuck, box us in, suppress us, oppress us, or can we use adversity to actually be the place that fuels our purpose, that inspires the impact that we can go out and have in people's lives and in this world, that, oh, by the way, can be a place that we find success, both in life and in our careers. And so when I think about my past adversity, I was born to my dad, who initially had to drop out of high school. Now, he did go on to get his GED, but if you consider for a moment being born to my dad here with a GED, my mom, a high school grad, they were both working hourly wage jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. So the odds, the adversity was stacked against me from the moment I took my first breath. I wasn't going to grow up with 2 college educated parents, higher income, and have success chasing this American dream, at least basically the way I started out. I lost my mom to suicide 4 days before my first birthday. So now here I am, shy of 1 year old, now going to face the world without my mom. I go on to grow up in a step family where I was the kid from another mother. I was the outcast. And with that
Yeah.
came treatment, came misunderstanding. We were living paycheck to paycheck. I was going to Title I public schools where I was receiving free lunch in elementary and middle and high school. I was the minority in a predominantly minority school. And then I found myself at 17 years old, wrapping up my junior year of high school, living alone in my own apartment. My entire senior year of high school, I'm now living alone in my own apartment due to some circumstances that took place in conversation between my dad and I. So from the moment I was born, I had adversity. I had obstacles standing in my way. The way I was growing up in my childhood, obstacles, adversity. Now at 17 years old, as a junior going into my senior year, living in my own apartment. So the question becomes, if you consider your own past adversity or your present adversity, do we stay stuck in that, or can it actually be the place that fuels our purpose?
Awesome. Awesome. And you hit on a lot of points, which leads to the second question that I have, is that you've been through so much in your life, you've grown. It's a true success story, in all honesty, with things that you have experienced, things of that nature. What are 2 to 3 items that you've gained in your life that you still use today?
Yeah, well, I'll stay in that high school period there for a moment, because this will be relatable to many of the listeners. As I looked around the school, I was always noticing the people that wore the nice clothes, drove the nice cars. I could tell the neighborhood they may live in or what their parents may do for work. And so I always had this aspiration that one day when I became old enough, I wanted to be more like them. I also recognized that in school, one of the ways to control my controllables was to focus on grades. If I can get my GPA up, that was going to give me the opportunity to one day apply for college and become a first generation college student and college graduate. I knew that once I could get my first job, that was going to give me the opportunity, despite living paycheck to paycheck, getting clothes from yard sales and hand-me-downs and being made fun of at school. I knew once I could get my first job while everybody else was sleeping in, drinking, drugging, playing video games and doing whatever else, I could make money. And so it was during that period of time, Jeremy, that I said, okay, control my controllables, focus on grades, aspire to be like those folks over there, get a job, work really hard, do what others were not willing to do to create the separation I was looking for, so that I can now have money to buy things that I didn't have, my first car, a cell phone, and then ultimately pay my way through college 4 straight years. So that was the beginning, the foundation of principles that ultimately carried me for 20, 30 years as I moved through college and beyond.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I think a lot of us do not realize what our students are going through until you hear their stories, and just being a good mentor, being a good person, in all honesty, and what that means and how that really entails what we need to be doing as a human, right? But also as somebody that's in education, whether you're a coach, athletic administrator, principal, or superintendent, you really want to try and instill those tools and resources and those character traits in your faculty and staff. So that's great to hear. One of the things I took away from your conversation with us at our admin retreat is your 4-step process. And that really kind of, I will say the word, refocused me on some things that I have been through recently in regards to trials and tribulations. But I also think that it's always good to hear as we start a new academic year. Can you kind of deep dive how that helps with coaches, athletic administrators, principals, superintendents?
Yeah, for sure. Adversity, circumstances, trials, tribulations, pain, suffering, uncertainty. We all have it. And I'm not trying to minimize the feelings that come with that. But at some point, once the feelings start to fade, the question becomes, how are we going to respond to it? So what? Now what? It happened. It's happening. So what now what? So number one, we've got to decide, are we going to be the change? It's a mindset shift. We're not going to let it suppress us, oppress us, depress us. It's actually going to be the place that we say, hey, no. Adversity, uncertainty, pain, suffering. No. You're not going to stop me. It's actually going to be the place that I decide to be the change for myself, for my family, for those around me. Be the change. It's a mindset shift. So what now what? Will we respond in a positive way? Number two, lots of people think about what they want to do or who they want to be. Lots of people think about that at 2 a.m. or when they're sipping coffee on their drive to work, but not everybody takes action. So I talk about number two, at some point we have to rise up and take action and actually go so far to take messy action, even when we don't have it all figured out. We don't know what the perfect plan is going to be. We don't have all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted. We don't know how this school year is going to turn out. We don't know how this season in fill in the blank sports is going to turn out, but we have to continue to take messy action. Number three, okay, cool. You're taking action. Congratulations. But we got to hustle. Number three, we got to hustle. So the question becomes, for a season, are we willing to put the extra repetitions in? 1 more hour of practice, 1 more hour of game film, 1 more hour of studying, 30 more minutes spending time with a student that really needs you in that moment. Are you willing to hustle to create the separation that you're after, that the team is after, that the students are after? Can you create that separation, 1 extra repetition mindset, which leads to number 4. See, if you make up your mind to be the change, a mindset shift. So what now what? How am I going to respond? Number 2, I decide to rise up and take action, even when the future is unclear. Number 3, you decide to put the extra repetitions in to hustle. Well, then you're ready for number 4, game time. Game time. You've developed the resiliency for whatever comes your way. You're ready to play anyone, anywhere, anytime. Your field, my field. Your court, my court. You're ready for game time. You're prepared. And so that's the 4-step process that I encourage the listeners to consider as it relates to their life, to what they're doing, but also the students. Mindset, action, extra repetitions, resiliency, that game time mindset.
Absolutely. And I think that's a process that a lot of us forget or we don't emphasize enough. And I think that's great to re-emphasize at this time with school starting, preseason football, preseason volleyball, things of that nature that are going on as schools are either a week to 2 weeks, or like us, we're 3 or 4 days away from starting, right? For our last question, for many of our listeners that are athletic administrators, coaches, or aspiring athletic administrators, one, I will tell you, and I've gotten this question a lot, is how do you keep going? What would be your advice to start the year if you are a teacher or a coach that wants to be an athletic administrator or a principal or whatever? And I will kind of deep dive into that. Is one of the questions I got from another colleague that saw something that I used in our coaches meeting is when. What's important now? And I think you saw that on my LinkedIn. It actually stood out to a lot of people because it refocused not wins and losses, but it refocused on the present. Like, what do you need to do for your current student athletes or your students or whatever the case may be? So I asked you, what is one piece of advice, obviously with the name of our podcast, as we start the school year?
Yeah, man, I could give you lots of nuggets of phrases and one piece of advice. I'll start with a question, and then maybe I'll just give you a couple of one-liners that really focus on the same thing. In my coaching practice, I ask my coaching clients, from the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning to the moment your head hits the pillow at night, did you maximize your opportunity? What did you eat? What did you drink? What did you read? What did you listen to? What did you watch? Who are the people that you spent time with? What drained your energy? What lit you up and brought you energy? Were you operating in your zone of genius? From the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning to the moment your head hits the pillow at night, did you maximize your opportunity? That's the big question. Now, under that is control your controllables. Keep it simple, stay consistent, achieve results. We way overcomplicate lots of things, including the listeners on this call as it relates to what they do on the athletic side. And then lastly, I love this one. Few will, most won't. Few will, most won't. So if you consider that, control your controllables, keep it simple, stay consistent, achieve results. Few will, most won't. And that's how you start to create the separation that many of us are after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that is amazing advice as we start this school year, or people that are a little bit down in the dumps, if not athletic administrators, teachers, coaches, principals, getting ready to start the year. And I think that advice is very crucial as we get going here. Again, we are with Lance Cibik, who is a renowned writer and has done tremendous things as a motivational speaker, author, and coach. His book, Adversity Fuels Purpose, is available in Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. I would highly recommend for you guys to start reading this. Those of you guys that are looking for options for potential motivational speaker or coach, I would recommend to look into having a meeting with Lance, read his book, kind of go from there. Lance, is there anything else you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Hey, listen, on the book side, according to Amazon and Kindle for ebooks, most people don't make it past page 18 to 25 for any book. People will pick up a book, they start reading it, and then they stop between 18 and 25. I wrote this book with less than 100 pages. It's not 200 pages, it's not 300 pages. So I want every single one of your listeners to actually have a real shot of making it past page 25. Many people sit down and they read the whole book all at once, over coffee, over pizza, on an airplane, sitting at the beach. And so I think it's going to be motivational and inspiring for all of you. If you want to keep in touch, you can find me on lancecibik.com. You can email me, info@lancecibik.com. And then the social media where I hang out is going to be LinkedIn, Lance Cibik, C-I-B as in boy, I-K. And then you can also find some video clips that I load up to my YouTube channel. But thanks for having me.
Awesome, Lance. We really enjoy having you here. I really enjoyed listening to you speak at our administrative retreat for Prince Edward County Public Schools. Again, we are with Lance Cibik today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your book and everything that you have given us to start the school year at Prince Edward.
Go get him. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.